When directors buy or sell shares in their companies, what sort of message does this send to the market? Does selling a share indicate that the director doesn't believe the share price justifies the growth prospects? And should investors take directors buying shares as a sign that the company should outperform? Well, joining me in studio to chat about this, director dealings, is Sikonathi Mant-shant-sha, who writes the director dealings column for FinWeek. Sikonathi, thanks for coming in this afternoon. Perhaps starting at the beginning, should the market read a director selling shares as a vote of no confidence in that company?
It's not that simple, Stephen. There are so many reasons why people would sell shares, and there are so many people why would buy shares. So there is the natural reaction, but it's not always accurate. There are sometimes deals that have to be funded with cash or just even operating cash.
Or holiday
things like
homes.
that. A whole lot of things, yes, including buying a house for your nephew and things like that. So it's not as straightforward as that. The best bet is to just ask the director, why are you doing it?
And do you always get an answer when you do ask them?
I do get an answer. Whether it is the real answer is a different story altogether. But yes, you will get an answer when you ask. There are those that, of course, people are different. They will naturally say, I don't want to talk about it.
Now, of course, if you are going to buy or sell a share in your company, you're obviously going to look at the share price. So often, if the share price has run hard, you would perhaps use that as an opportunity to sell that share. Likewise, if the share price is undervalued, is looking quite cheap, you might go as a director, you know the company, you know what the prospects are, you might use that as an opportunity to go and buy shares, wouldn't you?
Exactly, you're quite on the spot there. And Yanni Mouton, the chairman of PSG Group, famously said about 2 years ago, if a director believes this share is going to outperform, they will find cash elsewhere. They're not going to sell the shares. And he's never sold a single share. He's always buying. So if people sell shares as well, if they're trying to find something, it does send a message about that share or about the person's individual circumstances, like their financial situation. If your shares is the only thing you can get, then you can get cash out of, then that's the only thing you will do.
And of course, there's also factors like share options that vest, and you have to then do something with those share options. So often it is a share option vesting that leads to a director sale, isn't there?
Not necessarily. They would sell a portion of that if they don't want to take cash out of their pocket to settle the taxman. There will always be a tax portion that's due to the taxman. So you can exercise the shares and keep it. If you sell them, yeah, it's because you need the cash for something else.
And of course, directors are constrained from when they can deal in shares. So if they are in a closed period, if there is sensitive information out there that hasn't been released to the market, they can't sell their shares under the JSE regulations. Is that right?
That's correct. They cannot trade on that information. It's insider trading. Perhaps
let's take a look at some of the most recent transactions included in your magazine, and this is for last week, and a couple of large ones that you have highlighted in the commentary that surrounds the table. David Khan, the chief executive of tech group Mustek, he sold 400,000 shares for almost 2 million rand, but this doesn't look like a very straightforward transaction because those shares were then converted into Taiwan depository receipts, sold for 12.3 million rand. The next day, though, Mr. Khan bought 2.5 million shares at 410 cents each for 10.3 million rand, and he netted 2 million rand out of these transactions. Have you managed to work out what was actually happening here?
On my own, the only thing I could find was that he sold a net 400,000 shares to get that 2 million rands we're talking about. But it goes a long way back. He started way back in March doing exactly the same thing, converting the JSE ordinary shares into Taiwan depository receipts, selling those, coming back to buy here. So I finally spoke to him after printing the article.
Oh, you did get hold of him eventually?
Eventually, okay. I got hold of him. The explanation was the company, Mustek, is also listed on the Taiwan Stock Exchange, where there's absolutely no liquidity. 1.5 million shares are listed there. And they had to make a plan because that stock exchange said we need a minimum flow of 10 million shares. And Mustek has got one massive shareholder and then very small guys. They tried to transfer a portion of the shares to Taiwan, or David has been trying to convince that major shareholder